Hi, it's Mobile Max, 310-804-4185. Mobile, auto repair, West Hollywood, and I can work on one car at a time here at my West Hollywood location where I live. 2013 BMW X1 2.8 S Drive. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to do the hose for the transmission cooler. It's a common issue with these cars, and it works on many different models and years. This is a 13 BMW X1 2.8 S Drive, but I believe it says 7 to 13. So anyway, the hose that comes from the radiator to the transmission oil cooler, it's right on top. And you'll notice right off that this hose, replacement hose, even though it's a BMW factory part, is a little bit different than the original one that's on there, in that you're missing a bleeder valve. The replacement hose does not have a bleeder valve on it like the original factory one. And I think the reason for this is that that's where it leaks from. They didn't give you a bleeder valve on the replacement one because that's the area where it leaks. So the replacement one doesn't have a bleeder valve, and because of that, the way I'm going to do this job may be unlike any other person doing this job, because I'm not going to drain the cooling system. Because if you drain the cooling system, then you're going to have to refill it, and more importantly, you're going to have to bleed it. So I'm going to try to do this job by removing the original hose and replacing the replacement hose very quickly so I lose as little coolant as possible. I'm not going to drain it. But before you do this job, you must cool down your car completely. It's got to be dead cold. You don't want that coolant blasting in your face. So cool down the car completely dead cold before you start this job. The next thing you're going to have to do is going to have to remove the air filter. Here it is right here. Here's our air filter. You must remove the air filter box in order to access the hose from the top. Originally, to identify which hose is leaking, I actually removed the air filter and the bottom engine cover and the turbocharger intake boot, but now that I see it, it's not necessary. You can easily just remove your air filter box, and the way you do that is first you got to disconnect the mass airflow sensor, and then there's two 6mm, or use a screwdriver to remove the hose clamps. Only one hose clamp. You can remove this, and then two 10mm bolts hold the air filter on. Two 10mm bolts, remove those, loosen up your hose clamp, remove the mass airflow unit's electrical plug, and then you can pull the air filter box off so you have room to work on this. You're going to need a 10mm socket, a 6mm socket. That's probably going to be 1/4" drive, so you'll need a 1/4" ratchet, a 3/8 ratchet, 25 star bit for the screw that holds it onto the radiator, the hose, and a couple screwdrivers. It's a pretty simple job, but remember, make sure the engine's dead cold so that the coolant doesn't blow up in your face. If you want to refill and bleed the unit, I guess you can drain the coolant out if you really want to. But I'm going to do it by not draining the coolant so I don't have to go through a big bleeding process. Remember, the replacement hose does not have the bleeder valve that the original hose has. I don't know if you can see it here, but here's the bleeder valve on the original hose, and the replacement one doesn't have it. So you're going to need the 25 star bit for this screw, and then this has a little wire connector to hold it in place. You're going to have to leverage out the wire to pop this out, and then the way I'm going to do it is I'm going to put it in as quickly as possible so I lose as little coolant as possible. It's Mobile Max 310-804-4185. Thank you.